you.
Hey, my snakeskin jacket! Thanks, baby! Did I ever tell you that this here jacket represents a symbol of my individuality and my belief in personal freedom?
About 50,000 times. I got us a room at the Cape Fear, and guess what? Power Man's playing at the Hurricane.
Stabbing and steer.
Welcome to the first episode of the Wild at Heart podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, the musical master of the Jedi witchcraft, the man behind the Julius Sleaze. My name is Jedediah, but you can call me JC. And I'm so pumped for today's episode. My guests today are my best friends, Tom Shaffner and Steve Rauckhorst, new members of the metal band Mushroomhead. I'm so excited for this. Last week I caught up with them on the Summer of Sleaze tour. The Summer of Screams tour, but that day definitely was the Summer of Sleaze. We went back to my seedy hotel room, and we recorded this podcast. We're going to get into the 20-year relationship we have with the band, what it was like to get the phone call to join the band, and really what their intentions are for the future of Mushroomhead. So we're going to get right into it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really funny, educational, and really to give a little personality of the men behind the masks of Mushroomhead. So strap in your seatbelts, do a shot, grab yourself some cognac, do whatever you got to do to just relax a little bit. And here it is, Steve Rauckhorst and Tom Shaffner of Mushroomhead. So I'll just start off with so what's it like being a Mushroomhead? So for this is first time listeners because this is a new show. My two best friends that I grew up playing in bands with in the year 2018 just joined the shock rock band Mushroomhead. It was a band that we all grew up idolizing, working with, ripping off,
living next
to, influenced by. We influenced them. That we've been through the highs and lows with the band, and in the past year, the guitar player and singer left the band, and they made the best decision they made, I personally think, in the last 15 years. Outside of bringing Jay back, is adding Steve and Tom to the lineup.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
it's going well. First and foremost, it is awesome. It's great to be on a tour with a bus and gear and people that help. Never really dealt with that, so that's pretty cool. I've been the helper, but never quite been the helpee. It's an honor, and it's awesome to try to help them be the best Mushroomhead they can be.
All right, and Steve, let's talk a little bit about Steve, because what many of the Mushroomhead fans don't understand is that Steve actually grew up next door to Jeff in North Royalton back in the 90s, and it was Jeff that got Steve into Mushroomhead, and it was Steve that got me into Mushroomhead, and it just worked out that my dad grew up next door to the original guitar player of Mushroomhead. So like we all lived within 4 miles of the band.
This is a big incestuous North Royalton domino effect kind of thing where we all, I think everybody at one point in time has just turned each other on to different things, and it just kind of snowballs more and more. It's like being in a band with somebody, which we've been in bands together a bunch. Somebody's like, hey, check this out, take a look at this, and then it's like it goes from there. And then before you know it, you get mildly obsessed with something, you develop a couple of party tricks, and then you end up, one thing leads to another, and you end up in a hotel in South Carolina talking to your same best friends. And you could have probably just done this with at 16 in North Royalton, but you just didn't have technology or the know-how to do it at that point.
Yeah, nobody would have cared.
But interesting postscript to that. I kind of got chills during sound check, not for any good particular reason other than the fact that we had been doing something that we hadn't done in 20 years, which is like perform the songs together.
Yes.
Albeit actually at the band show, at the band sound check, and it was pretty damn cool.
I had a good inside chuckle about how many times have we done this before,
but never.
But in a basement on our shitty gear,
right?
Not at a venue.
You're
with
in
the band.
You're in the bedroom of your childhood home, blasting through like a blown out shitty radio receiver, singing to this distorted mic before your parents get home. And it's like, shit, let's do this. Let's get these few songs in, and it usually ended up being Mushroomhead. So
let's explain the high school thing, and then what they're talking about is I was able to get on stage for soundcheck today, and it was all three of us.
Video proof
coming soon. But we all got to jam out some songs. I'm sure I'm gonna jam out some songs tonight with the band. But in high school, when kids were doing drugs or going to football games and stuff. Steve and I didn't do drugs. We stayed at home, waited for his mom to leave us alone, and instead of doing anything weird, which was super weird, she has to leave, we would go and sing Mushroomhead songs in his bedroom, and this went on for a year or two before. I mean, Tom was
very covert operation.
Shaffner was already playing in bands, and we weren't even in bands really yet, like other than garage bands, but. We would literally sat there learning how to sing Mushroomhead. There was some Fear Factory filtered in there and shit like that.
15-year-old postscript. Tom actually had a life, so he actually was out being in bands and kissing girls at this point.
Was throwing footballs,
kissing girls.
Tom did a really good job of doing the football life and the band life. Let's just get that out of the way.
It was a complex life. Everyone on both sides wanted to beat me up, but everyone on both sides knew they couldn't, so they had to respect me. It'd be the Friday before the game, and I'd have to wear a suit and tie or my football jersey, but I'd also have a bondage collar on and my nails painted black. So all the football dudes wanted to beat my ass, but they knew that at practice I just constantly smashed them into the fucking ground, so they couldn't. And so whenever they gave any of my weirdo friends that didn't trust me because I was wearing a football jersey a hard time, I was always the mediator. It was really weird.
Yeah, I think all of us gravitated not trying to fit in somewhere.
Sure. Yeah, we all didn't fit in together.
I mean, those same people that were on the football teams with Tom would, pick on all of us for being into metal, but they were the ones still gearing up for their big football game, listening to Korn. And Metallica and everything. So it was like getting pushed in the locker for wearing a metal shirt, and then they lift up their Tommy Hilfiger.
Most of us couldn't stand them. Tom got a pass from some people.
I was the bridge.
Paul Ribbich, if we must bring him into this conversation.
He's done a really good job for death metal.
Right. Singer of Embalmer. He used to walk around, but it seemed like to get laid in the late 90s and early 2000s, you'd have to have a really like a yellow Nautica fleece pullover or something. It just seemed to help in the suburbs. It was like a No Limit Records thing or something. Yeah. But beneath that, every day he would have the most fucked up, ridiculous death metal shirt on. And it kind of turned us on to a lot of bands.
He'd flag it, yeah.
Right, it was like this covert thing.
It was like an Illuminati thing for Paul Ribbich. Like that he'd you'd see him in a hallway, he'd flash you the metal signs, and he'd just be like, he'd whisper in your ear like, Kanye. Like he'd whisper
Right. I gotta say though, he's the one person I'm glad followed the path of the shirts that were underneath it and not the yellow fleece that he was wearing.
Yeah, that's true.
He made the right move.
Sure. And anyone who doesn't know, Paul sings for
Embalmer,
which is great death metal band.
Another band.
A very consistent death metal band too, which is it's hard to find consistency.
Right. They've been around 25 years.
Another dude that was into a band forever, and then certain opportunities presented themselves, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, I'm doing it."
Yeah. We're gonna stick in high school still. With everybody joining Mushroomhead now, so we're gonna go ahead and just get the cat let the cat out of the bag. So at a pep rally, this was right after.
I was about to intro.
I was actually class president, which is
a whole other problem.
With a whole other problem, and for some reason I thought it was a great idea to be class president. Steve did a good job during my entire.
Campaign manager, really.
Steve was my campaign manager, but as I'm doing my speech to the auditorium, Steve's in the crowd with a little clicker that was like sampling go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself.
Right. Fuck you, eat shit.
Fuck you, eat
jerk.
shit. So
You're
I
an
think
asshole
everybody's
or
on.
something.
I'm on stage thinking everybody's laughing at my jokes because they were, I thought, amazing.
Well, you did bring Jolt Cola.
Yeah, I compared myself to
Jolt.
Joe, and most of the generation doesn't know what Joe Cola is anymore.
That's unfortunate.
Well,
This
it
generation
was
doesn't have
2
Jolt
times
Cola,
the caffeine.
Jim
I'm gonna
Kanye.
do 2 times the caffeine, and I'm gonna do 2 times the effort as president. Which
There's 3 keys to our youth that I think this generation is solely missing is Jolt Cola, Jim Kanye, and Mr. Bungle. At least.
Yeah.
At bare minimum. When we were 16, we relied on that was kind of like our church, and they've all kind of unfortunately disappeared.
This is like right around the same time as Columbine, and it was like the big fear propaganda of like goth kids, and if you wear a trench coat mafia, all that blah blah blah. So what I did is I like most of my career I used these negatives to sell something that personally I wanted to do, and it was I booked a pep
on people's misery.
Yeah, I booked a pep rally where I had all the kids that played in choir and band do a Rush Van Halen cover band, and on the other side of the room, the 3 of us plus some of our friends, we did a Mushroomhead cover band. So this is May 30th, 1999. We did this.
And Rick Thomas would have gone, but I think he was already out of school by then.
No, Rick Thomas wasn't allowed. They wouldn't let him out of class to do it.
Oh, wasn't he in vocational school?
Yeah, he was a vo-ed kid.
Yeah.
So he did supply all the white camo jumpsuits for us. Though.
Right.
So Stitch
like
was supposed to be Bronson, but then he got a detention, so they wouldn't let him. So we went Bronsonless.
We would stay in the hallway and nerd out sometimes before they would let you to class. They'd have you in like this little holding pattern in the front hallway, and they'd have all the senior class pictures. And on the wall are all these guys that we knew. You know, we had been going to see the shows for a while, so it's like, oh, there's Skinny and Marco and Schmitz, and
So we all went to the same high school as Mushroomhead, so it's like we were a good amount of them.
It's like Twin Peaks, Ohio. Anybody listening that doesn't know about North Royalton, it was. They've since tried to bring the place into maybe the 20th century, but they're kind of failing.
Ohio.
They're failing at it, and it was much cooler when it was kind of seedy and backwoods.
So we do this pep rally, and I sold the principal on it and everything. I think we were called 43.
Yeah.
I think No Tech joined the day beforehand to do keyboard. We were going to do it without keyboards because he found out he'd get out of class to do it, so he stayed up all night learning.
Yeah, really. It wasn't. I mean,
it was just to get out of class.
By that time, I think he had dismissed the band from his life, and he's like, "Oh, well, I guess it gets me out of class."
But so one of my favorite memories, and we've joked about this personally, but I want to get it out there, is I was the J-man of the group. And we had these bags of confetti, and I go to throw the confetti in the crowd, and I throw every bit of my body into throwing the confetti. And the confetti actually falls out of the bag.
Yeah, the bag went further.
And the bag went further, it was like limp wristed. Like I was just like, here's the confetti, and everybody laughed.
It was like Happy Gilmore where he hits the divot further than the golf ball.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those great fail moments.
And the best thing was that Steve still wore a wedding dress in front of the entire school body.
Yeah, right.
Fuck
I exposed my student body to the rest of the student body. No, what was funny, when Tom was talking about football, I had gotten out of class earlier that day and had talked to one of the football coaches and had a really serious discussion as to where to locate shoulder pads off season. It wasn't football season at all. I'm like, look, man, I really need these shoulder pads, and he had no clue what I was trying to tell him. And I'm like, can we just go and unlock the annex up the hill? He's like, no, I'm not doing that for you.
And I think I was offered to join the track team after it. Like as soon as we got done, the track coach, Mr. Guilfoyle, walks up and offers me the track team.
But they had outlawed Jolt by then.
Because I was jumping around so much. But and Tom was JJ. Rest in peace, JJ.
It was I know why he actually wanted to be dinner, I think, for it, and he had the mask, but. Chris Lambson at the time was so thin that there was no way.
We could have Twiggy.
He was like frail.
He was a frail Twiggy Ramirez.
84 pounds.
Playing JJ's role. We just couldn't do it.
So dude, your shorts are bigger. Sorry.
And the irony is, I think we all went and saw Mushroomhead that night.
We did. It was May 28th, 1999. They played the Flying Machine.
So fast forward then to Tom Shaffner graduates from high school. Goes to Sound College, a good $5,000 well spent.
I went to a recording workshop in Chillicothe, Ohio. It's basically like audio boot camp. It was really cool. Any younger people out there, it's still there. It's still cooler than ever. I highly suggest it. it gets you field ready really fast.
Yeah, it's like
And
a
it
crash
allowed
course.
us to fix our technical difficulties with this podcast. Right?
Yeah.
We're doing a great job with
Imagine how
it.
bad this would have been.
Yeah.
Still using my certificate of completion to this day.
So the story, as I tighten this up, if you're listening, I'm just tightening my balls. All right, so Tom comes back from recording workshop. Tom graduated a year before us, and so Steve and I everybody's still hanging out with Mushroomhead. Mushroomhead at that point moved their recording studio and practice room to North Royalton.
Yet again, North Royalton.
Mushroomhead out of nowhere gets signed to Universal.
Eclipse first.
It was Eclipse and then Universal.
I don't know if it was out of nowhere, but
I mean, it was
out of a whole bunch of.
Oh yeah, and that's a different
releases.
podcast to talk about Roadrunner and Slipknot and all that stuff. And
Oh,
this
boy.
is our story with the
I saw a
band.
Slipknot poster I haven't seen in years at the club today.
Yeah,
It used to be up in my bedroom.
but the
Not in a good way.
Skinny, who was I guess intelligent, looked at all of us 17, 18, 19-year-old kids and gave us all jobs for the band. And Tom and Steve was able to go on tour with Mushroomhead doing roadie work. They got to go to Ozfest, go all over Europe and a lot of cool stuff in America. I got to stay back. I got to stay back in Cleveland and be the main T-shirt printer for Mushroomhead throughout all of that. And it afforded all of us to we seldomly had to work real jobs because we got to go on the road and enjoy these different things. I would still drive shirts out to different days of the tour. It was like that opened the door for all of us to kind of have a trajectory of a better lifestyle.
Yeah, it kind of ruined us for real jobs. I've been avoiding them ever since.
Spoiled. We are spoiled.
The other benefit of working for Mushroomhead was being in other bands in town and being able to get the cool opening gigs.
Sure, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Stole a lot of main support opening gigs for those guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Tom with Slutbox, me with Dead Even, and even when we all did Garmin Bosia together, we definitely like, hey, you want to get that second to main slot, right?
There were perks, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other options were just like Pantera bands, like Pantera. Oh man, that's a good. So that's gonna be the hashtag of this episode is Panterist. So in the late '90s, in the post Pantera world, not the post apocalyptic, the post Pantera world, a lot of bands, a lot of people just influenced by Pantera, and there was just a fuck ton of Pantera bands.
And not to bag on Pantera at all, but it's just it's like Korn or something. Anything. Somebody does something that's sort of unique, and everybody else does something that's incredibly not unique after it.
And like a lot of the mid 2000s radio rock was all like really bad Kurt Cobain.
The worst parts of the 90s
it was it was a lot of like let's see there hair bear.
Yeah, it's really sad with what people got out of all that incredible music and really cool art. They always just take it for face value and rip off the easiest.
Blew it.
Right.
Blew it.
Yeah. When all of us, we were sitting around feverishly listening to Faith No More.
Well, 2 out of 3 of us.
I'm getting better.
Tom was always the as much as like it was cool because like when I got really into Hatebreed, Steve stopped liking Hatebreed a lot, because I got so obsessed. We were so into Mike Patton that Tom was like, oh my god.
I got you into that. Trevor Love took us for a nice day out around town and showed us the skinhead underbelly of Cleveland, basically.
Yeah.
Some record stores I hadn't been to.
This is the 90s we're talking about.
Right, well he turned me on to the Hatebreed album, which I hadn't heard, and it's like, well, I was into Integrity and Ringworm, and it's like, it was kind of, a logical thing to listen to. So I took it back to Jed, and then he got like
obsessed,
very deeply into hardcore. Did a stint carrying a bass around with Integrity and jumping on people.
I got to stand on stage with Integrity with a bass plugged in,
which is funny because
in Connecticut. Yeah, there's a video of it.
I grew up playing bass, and he was just hanging out with Dwight a bit more at that time. Here, how about you take this bass? You stand up there, you get lost, you jump around.
Well, it actually was. Steve was on tour with Mushroomhead, and I was filling in for Steve in Obstacle Corps. Which was a real band. And
our band, that was another.
Dwight watched it live, and I was playing Pig Venus's bass through Pig Venus's gear because I didn't have my own gear and I barely could play bass. And Dwight's like, just play in Integrity, just jump around, turn the bass off. I don't care. And the first gig's in front of like 800 people in Connecticut. and like it was like 3 or 4 weeks. It was like 2 months after 9/11. So, that did open the door for Steve then to join Integrity. Like
sure.
I was kicked out of the band for Frank from Filter took my spot, and then never played the show.
Played,
they
right?
never played,
and
then it was you.
It was Frank Kavanaugh. It's like, all right, cool, step aside or whatever.
Yeah, step aside.
The funny thing was though, is our first couple of bands were pretty much just puns. There's like Sadist Factory and Obstacle Corpse. And, yeah, well, at least 2 of them.
Dead Even was a pun, kind of.
Sure.
That was the title of a book.
Slutbox is a pun.
Well,
I don't know what it is.
I don't
It
know.
sounded good to me.
Yeah.
They picked that out before I joined the thing.
It was reality.
They picked out the slut box. Like that box right there.
That one.
Thus kind of began the the ushering in of the Tom Shaffner stepping into a band and people realizing what a force he was too, and like, shit, man, just do it, just handle it.
Yeah, because Tom played in Dead Even with me.
But it just that was kind of like one of those like eye opener moments, like, oh shit, okay, because you would hear the demos of it and then like Red Skies or something came out. I was like, oh. Shit. Okay.
As I explained to Jed via text message today, while you guys were having lunch and I was at the club, I am neurotic as fuck, and sometimes it is for better, and a lot of times it's for worse. And I have anyone that's worked a real job with me or been in a band with me knows that I can't come into a situation. It's not that I'm a control freak, or maybe it is that I am. I don't know. But if I see a better way or something, if I think I can help, I really like helping. I guess is big. And
that's a positive way.
Help, I'm fucking going to, whether you want me to or not.
And that is fact.
It's the American way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
get some fucking freedom.
I'm gonna help the shit out of you.
Because all the 3 of us in this room have known each other for 20 plus years now, and Tom will help the fuck out of you.
I will help you to death.
You're like, he's gonna help you if you don't want the help. He's gonna help you if you need the help, and he doesn't want to help you. He's still gonna help you.
You're getting some help.
Yeah, you're getting some fucking help. You're gonna like it.
I might yell at you. I'll probably yell at you while I'm doing it.
Yeah, but
I'm still helping.
We would call that Yelp, but I think that might be taken.
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can't say that.
I'm such a dick. Why do you guys hang out with me?
No. I think when
I had a car.
This isn't a podcast. It's kind of like a shrink appointment for the 3 of us. It's like a 3-way.
Yeah. There's a lot of 30-plus-year-old girls happy that this conversation's happening.
Ew.
So, so yeah, Tom likes to wear that crew hat, even though he's not in the crew anymore. That's what we're getting at.
We have a great crew. Those guys work so fucking hard, and I've been in their shoes so long that, when we show up to a club and it's a huge venue and they've got 8 loaders, I'll sip my coffee and watch TV and whatever. But when that's not the case, I can't just sit there and know what's happening. Go, man, I used to hate that shit. So I go in and help them out because I can.
Yeah. And I mean, in my eyes, they have a gaggle of Shaffners. Like, they actually clone Tom into 3 or 4 different crew members. This is the strongest, I think, crew that Skinny's put together, because he just took the model of Shaffner and created more of them. They got great handshakes. They come in with the side like Tom does. Tom does. I think they wear all the same clothes as you. You guys share a bunk, right?
Probably, yeah. We all are actually all the same person.
Yeah,
they're
all the same person.
They don't retain as many movie quotes. And,
the time my cousin Walter got this cat stuck in his ass. True story. He bought it at our local mall, so the whole fiasco wound up on the news. It was embarrassing for my relatives and all, but the next week he did it again. Different cat, same results, complete with another trip to the emergency room. So I run into him a week later in the mall, and he's buying another cat. And I says to him, Jesus, Walt, what are you doing? You know you're just gonna get this cat stuck in your ass too. Why don't you knock it off? And he said to me, Brody, how the hell else am I supposed to get the gerbil out? My cousin was a weird guy.
So, Garmin Bozia.
Oh boy.
Chapter 1 again, because they're all number 1.
Yeah, so I'd say chapter 4 of the story is Garmin Bozia.
Yeah.
So Steve and I, it was like the perfect storm at Garmin Bozia. I was doing a lot with Dead Even. I think, Tom, you were doing Keratoma at the time? You were just doing the Keratoma record?
At the time, we thought it was Slutbox, but
It turned into
that's what turned into the first Keratoma record.
Yeah. And but we're all using the shit out of the shroom room while we're on
This
tour to do it.
Mushroomhead again.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
on
Right.
tour.
So,
and
well, tour.
I was authorized.
Yeah.
But you used the main stuff. We were just kind of like hanging
So,
out
in the room.
satellite rooms and stuff, yeah.
we get this. Steve and I get this great idea to start going through all their old keyboard sounds that they use on the first couple records.
Oh, and not to mention we meet Harry Mapes.
Yeah.
We had known him for a few years before that, but he really came into the fold because him and Little Dan were working on something with this other dude, who I only know as the underage smoker.
Yes.
But
I still see that kid. He still smokes, and he's like 32, and I'm an underage smoker.
But Mushroomhead was basically, we thought we heard their ghost or something. You know, the doors closed, and we hear this rehearsal, and we're like, we thought Shroom's out on the road. What are they doing still playing in here? And, well, at least the Schmitz end of it, because the rest of it was a little...
Yeah, we're talking about the keyboard sounds, the classic keyboard sounds.
They were trying to sort out some things, and they kind of didn't find their sound, but we definitely found a crucial element of it. We're like, oh, cool, it sounds like our childhood going on behind that door.
Yeah, and like Harry's 17, he's still
he was
high
17,
school?
we were about 20.
Yeah,
Harry's still 17.
He's still 17.
All our other bands were either going on hiatus or kind of crumbling at the time.
Yeah.
For various reasons.
Yeah, it was
or they were going strong, but whatever it was.
I mean, Dead Even was going good, but I was just bored with it.
We were 20 years old and had no other life, so it's like we have room for more.
And like, so we find out that Harold's got the same flavor as Schmatz. And at that time, Steve and I were like, we wanted to do a Faith No More project. I think the original idea is like we were going to do like a Rat Pack ripoff.
It was a Rat Pack. It was a violent video game. It was, of course, it was going to degenerate into Shroom and Bungle and things like that.
Yeah, because
I think it's all well represented in the outcome of it. But we had kicked around the name for years. I know probably since high school.
Since high school, yeah, we always wanted to be Garmin Bozia, and this was before Twin Peaks and David Lynch turned into like the hipster phenomenon that it is.
We just had to kind of do something. Yeah, it was like four nerds like being told we were idiots.
Yeah. For
years, and
I think
in a way, it's
our biggest goal was to confuse, offend, and make people laugh at the same time, which I think we achieved. Smooth and sleazy, yeah, and.
It worked.
It worked. So when we find Harold, and Harold at the time, we start writing with Harold, and I remember the first song we wrote was Once Embraced, Part 1.
Right.
And Steve showed up to my mom's wedding, and was like, "Here's the finish of the mix of the Knuckleheads on Brook Park Road." And me, him, and Amy, my girlfriend at the time, we went in the car and just listened. No vocals, Once Embraced. And I mean, and it had all the orchestra hits. It had everything. It was a combination of the flavor of, if you're going to cook a meal that sounds like Mushroomhead, it had all the natural ingredients.
Right. I think that one to this day is still the most Mushroomhead song. It was written at the Room. I mean, it was written on their instruments, demoed on all their stuff. It's through and through what probably would have come out between the first album and
because Steve and I were such nerds, and I think Shaffner, you might have been involved with this. I know Harry was definitely involved with this, but we would go through. Mushroomhead used to record their practices to cassette tapes.
The Pat Lewis vault.
And we found a box of cassette tapes of Mushroomhead practicing. And of course, instead of partying or doing anything like worthwhile, we're sitting around listening to Mushroomhead practice tapes of like from 1997 or something.
Right. Hey, you're 21. Why don't you go out and get laid and party? Oh no, dude, there's this box of tapes. You wouldn't believe it.
I was still like 70-30.
Right.
But like, I can listen to a box of tapes for a couple hours, but then I'm going to go...
But Todd had his girlfriend there. He always had his girlfriend there listening to tapes with him.
You'd walk into the room when the tapes are on and be like, oh, what's this? This is cool. And be like, oh, I got to go live my life.
Hey, copy that for me.
Yeah, right. So...
I got to go live my life.
The second,
we're all still doing it.
Yeah, the second one we did, Harry came in with like this half-step descending keyboard thing, and I remember Jed and I looking at each other and like, dude, that just sounds like Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And we sat up and we pillaged the lyrics of Piano Man. Mm-hmm. And at that time, Billy Joel had just been involved in this, like probably his 19th drunk driving
DUI,
accident.
yeah.
He ran his car off the road. Either in a tree or somebody's house or whatever, but it became the first line of the song. Because it was 9 o'clock on a Saturday or whatever the fuck it was. And it turned into that, and that song's always known as Billy Joel to us.
You guys watch that Hired Gun documentary?
Yeah.
Billy Joel's a dick.
Dude, he was an asshole to his band.
I didn't know. Billy Joel's a dick.
Right. If you're out there listening, I mean, we'll accept an opening slot from you, but stop being a dick to your band.
Yeah, wow. That was serious.
Dude.
Stop being a dick.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's true. So I think we did the maybe the first verse and the chorus to it, and they left overnight. Everybody kind of went. I put some schmutz on the middle of it, this like surf part, and then we did this thing with like the spy keyboards and snapping fingers, and we played it. We took that demo of that and a couple other songs around and played it for people. I think Joey Stumpo had the best line. He's like, "You lost me when you started snapping your fingers."
And I think that's how I got the gig, because the old guy couldn't play the surf part and I could.
Yeah.
It was you know what happened?
Yeah.
Matt Brewer, who's been a topic of conversation as of late, who's been to hell and back.
Yeah.
I think he's back right now.
He's back from hell.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, at least social media is back from hell.
He was in a little circle of hell back then, and I think his driving privileges were revoked, and we were having all these rehearsals.
He ever drive.
We were having this. He was a great guy, great guitarist, and he was super workable, and he was really good. It all was working. It was just we had to pick him up. I think I skirted the responsibility somehow. But usually Ism would pick him up.
I picked him up, yeah.
And Jed picked him up a lot. But it was like 3 hours of driving for an hour and a half of rehearsal with him. And after a while, we gave him the option, like, hey, do you want to come up to Cleveland? He was working. Every job, everything he did had the Stowe prefix to it. He worked at the cafe in Stowe.
He was out,
Eat at the Stowe Nut. He'd drink at the Stowaway. It was Stowe this, Stowe that.
Which is like, what, an hour and 10 minutes from Cleveland?
Yeah, he was fully entrenched in Stowe. It was his life.
And then I stole his spot.
Right. It's like Jed was living in a house that was already too small for the 4 dudes that were living there. But he's like, hey, Brewer, come up to Cleveland, drop a couple of the Stows from your life, and just be from Stowe instead of.
I wanted to put him in the basement because he was playing in Dead Even too. So it was like
right.
I needed him for 2 bands.
It only makes sense, and he didn't break himself away from that. So we're like, this is becoming pretty difficult, and all the best to him. It just
he still went on to play in some bigger stuff too. He played in Integrity.
Oh sure, I played in like 6 bands with him. I think over the years.
He was the main songwriter of the Youth Forgotten record.
Yeah, right.
That's a great record too.
He played some Ringworm shows.
Yeah.
He's done. He played in 25 to Life.
We literally like Brewer was so good that he'd come in. I mean, because he was so hard for him to get there with his driving issues. He'd come in. He was one take guy. Everything was one take, and not you don't have a lot of guitar players that can just roll in there and do that. But then he wasn't around for a lot of the rest of the process.
But
he had to always work around it. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, he just had a knack for that style too, like hardcore
thrash,
stuff.
the thrash metal,
anything thrashy. He was on top of.
He's got a fancy right hand.
And if you're out there listening to this, I hope you still are.
Yeah,
hit us up.
Yeah. Hit us up. We're gonna put
Matty Baru.
I've been putting the missing signs up in Stowe. Yeah.
And Chris Marinan told you to take them down.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, bro, is that still his band?
No, I don't think they do that anymore.
Okay,
they put out a record last year or early.
I saw like your backup bands doing their own band now too.
Yeah.
The ex-members of ex-members of ex-members are their own members.
Molson Triple X.
Why don't they call their own members? We're the own members. Because they know the name of the band now is like something like Youth Forgotten and stuff like. How I did Ghost of a Fallen Empire and Youth Forgotten, and then there was a Years Before, and then there's a City of the Dead. That's right. That's what they call City of the Dead. So like a lot of the names were like I like to like as I moved away and I started looking at all the names that came out and I was like, oh my god, I was a part of that cliche with calling the band Youth Forgotten and stuff like that.
It was like a Color Sky Verb thing.
Yeah. It was like
where
you have that so much like even like when I look at because I'm in Florida now and I'm looking at Tampa. Tampa has the metal scene. Orlando really. We get some, but it's mostly in Tampa. And I see the names of these bands, and I'm just like, what the fuck, man? I mean, you can make...
They're running out of names.
Yeah, you can make a good living being someone that just comes up with names for bands. Like, before you get to, like, you're going through Facebook or whatever, you try to get the name, they send you to somewhere else, and they come up with the name. Like, what's this really going to be? Because what people don't realize is, like, you're actually, like, that's the name of your business.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like,
absolutely.
And a lot of people play in bands is so self-indulgent. Everything's just like my own perspective of like what my art form is, and it's not like I'm so much bigger on right now going, is that like, what is your brand that you're selling? That's why Mushroomhead's been able to last throughout whatever members are playing in the bands. It's because it's a brand that is a theatric brand. You know what I mean? There could be nobody on that stage playing the instruments as long as there's somebody up there acting it out and there's like that feeling and stuff like that.
We've joked about that.
Well, here's a good goodwill segue for a podcast and to get it back into interesting territory. Schnauzer.
Yeah, Schnauzer.
For the three of us, I know that was massive.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
being able to have that, it's just kind of like a primal, ridiculous outlet to scream and break things and do as much damage as you ever possibly could at a perfect age for it.
Yeah, Schnauzer was like therapy for metal guys.
They had a song called Therapy.
Yeah, and it's like, everybody there, like, there was never dicks at the shows, but everybody was being dicks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody was total assholes. I mean, remember the one show they actually brought the kitchen sink?
They did.
Yeah, it almost cracked my leg.
I want to say there was one show with Schnauzer where there was a reclining chair and I had to crowd surf in it and I was scared for my life.
If you were at a Schnauzer show and you weren't scared for your life,
Yeah.
you weren't at a Schnauzer show.
And I mean rest in peace Jim Kanye.
Absolutely.
Like Jim Kanye did such a good job of like, creating an element of just, tomfoolery, no pun intended at the time.
He knew exactly what he was doing at all
Absolutely.
times.
He was really a brilliant guy.
He really controlled his chaos. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And I know because I have to do his job now.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
He had a devastating sense of humor
Yes.
and such a quick mind.
He was sober. The first
He was-
time.
and he was sober, yeah.
After Jim passed, rest in peace, Jim. I filled in for my friend that had passed away. That was a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Right.
And halfway, like 4 songs in, I even said to the crowd, I went, I'm gonna break character for a minute. I can't fucking believe Jim did this sober. Because I'm not.
Yeah.
And it's still hard.
That's how you break the kitchen sink! People saying that our music creates violence. Don't know what. Get that chair back, Steve. Get that chair back up here. Yeah! I'm the real chairman here. This is Sean, I want you to take pictures, bro. Nick Ritz, get your ass up here. Luke! Rusty, Wendy, friends and foes alike. Let's go across country in a fucking wagon. Hey, you fucker! Family vacation! Yeah!
Tom Shaffner gives me a call one day and he's like,
This is how it started for me, too.
Yeah, but I think you guys both got calls around the same time, right?
I got a call from Tom first.
Because
first hint of the rumbling.
I didn't spill the beans per se, but I called Steve and just to kind of see where his headspace was. Like, hey, I think the old man might be retiring. What are you doing? Where?
From my angle, I was no lie here. It's just the irony of this is worth documenting. I was sitting on the toilet. I was watching YouTube videos of old Shroom stuff, and it was sound check at the Agora. It was like a Bwomp sound check.
yeah, it's
from, like,
wonderful. Yeah,
97 or something. Jeffson in all his glory.
he's got hair. He's got long hair in it. Yeah,
And
everybody's
I'm
in their
watching
glory.
and I got a text message that came through, and I see it, and I swipe on that, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, it was Tom was saying like, yeah, Jeff might be getting ready to pack it up, and they're looking for new singers, and I texted back, I'm like, well, what do you mean looking? And he's like, fucking hey, they're looking. So I'm like, well, let me see if I can try and do my part to end the search or whatever. And a couple days later, I went up there, and it turns out that Jeff had been suggesting me to step in for him. And we talked to, Skinny and Tom and I had talked about it, and then Jeff was up there as well, and we all talked about it, and this was very really cool, positive thing, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd be honored.
I got a funny story about my phone call. So I had just been on tour. I play guitar in Ventana as well with Stitch and Lil Dan, who's one of the best drummers I've ever seen, and Scott Beck, who's super entertaining as frontman. So I was just on tour with Mushroomhead playing in Ventana and helping their crew. Home one night, and this is a long way around it, but it's a pretty funny story. I've never watched Breaking Bad. I've heard 10 million people love Breaking Bad, and it sounds like something I want to love.
It's pretty good.
I'm a busy guy. Like, I don't know, was it 7, 8 seasons?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a commitment, yeah.
I've been waiting to, like, break an ankle or, like, get the flu and jump into it.
Yeah, you need depression for that much.
Yeah, I got plenty of that. Don't worry about that.
Get some lung cancer and start selling meth and then watch it for pointers, whatever.
So, I'd gotten out of work early that night. I'm a bartender as well, which I take quite a bit of pride in. Not just a shot and a beer guy. I do a lot of classic cocktails and working, trying to spend time.
He's like a wizard.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the same, like a wizard of bartending.
I hate the term mixologist.
I say wizard because everything's smoky.
He's a mix wizard. Oh, shit, that one's taken too. Sorry, Alan and Heath.
Anyway, so I get out of the bar early and I come home and sit around with my chick and like, you know what we should do? We should start watching Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
You've been talking about that for a while. We should. It comes on. 2 minutes into the first episode of Breaking Bad, I get a text from Stitch. Hey, what are you doing right now? I just got out of work early. What's up? Doesn't respond. Watch the entire first episode of Breaking Bad. Don't think anything of it. As soon as it's over, my phone rings and it's Rick. I've known Rick for 25 years. Rick does not call me.
Yeah, he doesn't call.
Rick does not call. And I literally answer the phone. What's wrong? He goes, hey, I just had an hour-long talk with Skinny. Tommy Church just quit the band, and you're in if you want it.
If you wanted to.
And I went, what the fuck did you just say? And he said that again, and I went, I mean, yeah, but, what the fuck? And then... And that was it. And I've never seen Breaking Bad ever again.
Tommy, and the best thing is, like, Tommy Church actually was living with Tom for a while. You guys were roommates.
Me and Tommy lived together for 2 years. And he was an awesome roommate. He was on tour a lot, and he would take his...
He's a great feller.
He would really take his time off there. Like, he was... Half the time I didn't even know he was home.
He was everything everyone said he wasn't. People would be like, man, he's just wasted and all sex and drugs. And I'd ask Tom, I'm like, well, you live with him? How is he? He was like, I barely hear him. He pays his rent months ahead of time. And he comes down and we're the irresponsible maniacs.
Yeah, like Tommy Church to me always was... Everybody would say all this stuff. And I think they get caught up in a persona a lot of the time, and it happens a lot of music.
I've seen
time and a place.
I've seen him be that guy, but for whatever reason, when he's not on tour and he's at home, he's just. It was 3 dudes in their late 30s living in a house, and me and Chris Taggs, who's a world-class hairdresser, in case anyone's in Cleveland and needs a fade. Holy shit!
Yeah, he'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
And talk your ear off about a classic hardcore and pro wrestling.
Yeah. You want to talk about integrity and get a hot fade.
You can pay him in hardcore band merchandise.
He doesn't want people to know that. But you can.
But you can. His collection is ever growing, and
I think I once needed a haircut, and I didn't. I had an integrity patch on my jacket. Ripped it off the jacket. Gave him the patch. And he gave me a haircut the next day.
So me and Tags are both freshly dumped, and we're raging every night. Yeah. And I get a phone call that Tommy Church needs a place to live. I'm like, oh man, we can't pour that gasoline on this fire, but I need the money. Sure. Me and Tags are the ridiculous assholes fucking chugging whiskey and screaming till 4 a.m. Tommy just come downstairs and go, oh, hey, fellas, Pantera again, huh?
Pantera again,
huh? Certain shit has come to light, and I'm not going to shit talk anybody. Well, not nobody, but I'm not going to shit talk him. He's doing his thing. I hope it works out for him.
Yeah.
He's always been super cool to me.
Yeah, I wish him the best, always. Yeah, he's always been solid with me. And he's one of those guys like Farrell that moved into the Mushroomhead compound and put in their dues for 5 years before they joined the band. You know what I mean? where I think we the two of you guys and me included, like we started working with Shroom in 2001.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
17 years in.
17 years in, you get to join the band.
Right.
I mean, I remember going up to the room and Schmidt stopping us outside, like, "Hey guys, now's not a good time. We're having troubles with Rich." So I mean, if that puts you in a time, that puts you in a time frame.
Yeah, I remember when Rich was leaving the band, and I think I was asking Schmatz to go to a wrestling show because I'm always promoting something. And he kept going, "There's gonna be a wrestling match here right now," and he's staring at Rich Moore. "There's a wrestling match here right now," and like we were teenagers, we were just like, "Oh, they must just be joking." Oh, like we didn't know like that there was drama. You know what I mean? Like, here's another it's an exciting memory. Do you guys remember when Mushroomhead got their Universal contract and Popson came into the studio with them thick contracts and started handing them out to everybody like it was birthday cards?
I do.
And it was, oh man, I couldn't wait. As soon as they left me alone in that room, I was going through that thing like crazy.
I thought you were going to say, remember when he doused me with a fire extinguisher?
Oh, yeah, he did that too.
The Dead Even session.
So yeah, if you guys want to know, Jason Popson sings on the Dead Even record because he showed up while we were recording it. At the Shroom Room and doused us with a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Said Brewer was on fire with a cigarette and he didn't even have a cigarette in his hand.
I think Brewer's pants were removed from him forcibly, and then.
Well, that's when Popson went through. Like, if anybody knows this, J-Man went through a really like hard phase with Jackass, and he was shaving people's heads, dumping them in. I think he dumped me in a.
He spent a lot of time with Ryan Dunn and those guys, and it rubbed off on him.
It rubbed off on him. I think
those are a couple interesting.
Bill
years.
Brasky was a big influence.
Yeah.
All those skits.
I think Popson once threw me in a grill and locked me in a grill once, and he was just dying laughing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you ever get out?
No, I think I'm still in there.
Yeah,
in the old Peabody's band.
The icebox is locked and the king cool down. It's Louisiana hot up dog in a new town. Around midnight, we'll get the light me pound. I got my pounding on the pavement, wrestling with the ground. Soft skin in a big band, stirring up a sound. Pawn shop, stocks and box, 45 rounds. I gotta go to a full contract, sit it band. I said the icebox is locked and the king cool down. Icebox locked down like it locked down. One brother drinks and cheap cigars while hot tub bubbles roll. Icebox locked down like it.
So for the end of this, I want to end it with, what do you guys see out of the future of Mushroomhead? Like your part in it, what you want out of the new music, what you want out of the theatrics of it. I know that they just released Volume 3, the DVD, available on Amazon for anybody out there that doesn't know. But we haven't talked much about it because nobody in this room is really on it. It was the last cast of Mushroomhead that stars and everything. So with we're just starting Volume 4. I'd like to actually, because I've written a lot of music with the people in this room, so I want to know. I guess I want to start with Steve because I know Tom's already written a ton of stuff. So I want to start with Steve. Like, what do you What do you see yourself doing vocally? Like some of the stuff. I don't know. Just talk a little bit about the writing process you're looking forward to.
Honestly, I'm waiting to serve the songs as they come. Vocally, I have no ulterior motives or any real illusions of what to do vocally. I know some things I don't want to do, but just and as the music goes, hopefully maintain some of the sound that's always made it great and evolve out of some of the things that could have used a little help. And
to mind you, this whole time we haven't talked about the fact that Steve was like mini Jeff in high school. This whole time we haven't brought that up. Like literally, like Jeff. We would joke because Steve was mini Jeff Hatrix, and like Steve had the same haircut. I remember like trying to like get girls to go on dates with Steve, and the girls would be like, "Oh, why does he have that ponytail?" And it was like, no, Steve was just a metal kid.
Mind you, that is one thing. No denying the Jeff influence whatsoever. But as a side note, just having long hair in like 99, 2000, where everybody was wearing like fucking kickwears and everybody looked like Alien Ant Farm.
Fucking kickwears.
And Papa Roach bread or whatever.
Chef's like, I still got our kickwears.
It wasn't the most opportune time to look like that.
Yeah, no.
And it really...
I'm going to restate that. Not the most opportune time to look like that.
Right. And it really didn't do me any service with the young ladies at that point in time. It's not that I was like a complete pariah or something.
No, and like the best thing is, we'd
I
explain to girls all the time, like, he's just being Jeff. Like, they're like, why is he talking really low to his shoulder? I'm just like, he's being like Jeff, like, hey, what's going on?
It's not that I wasn't getting noticed or something, but it was like I kind of stuck to my guns probably a little bit too much with like, fuck you, I'm gonna look like this, totally eat shit, this is metal, what's your problem, kind of thing.
What was some good Jeff one-liners? One was like, I want you and your friends to start a band and dress like grandmas and call it Pentagramma. Pentagramma was a good one. That's a good one. It was a good.
Yeah, he always had a bag of band names.
Yeah, okay. A quick Jeff story that's really good. I'm like 14 or 15. Rick Thomas just got in with Shroom, and it was Rich Moore and Skinny's bachelor party at the original spot. And like, this is 1998, and I'm not going to advocate underage drinking, but I'm just letting you guys know I did have a good time that night. And Tom had to definitely hold me over the ledge of the building because I wanted to throw up.
That's true. Vomiting on a 93rd
So I'm
Street.
still a fan. I don't know a lot of the band really that much yet. I just knew Dinner Rich Moore through my father, and that was about it.
I don't even know how we got into that. How
Rick got invited.
Oh,
that's right.
That was
Stitch
the
got
last
invited.
summer they were in that building.
Yeah, the last time they would have. And we're like,
and I had the car.
Yeah, Tom had the car.
I had to do a lot of stuff because I had the car.
Oh, Tom, big what's up for Tom having a car.
Yeah, if you want your kids to be popular at 16, get them a car.
I lost my virginity because Tom had a car. I rollerbladed there, and he came and picked me up, and she was wearing our band shirt.
That's a fact. That is a fact. That was a weird night.
It was definitely satisfactory. But
you're welcome.
Yeah.
So we're there, but this is a good Jeff story, and like the dancers that they hired for this party, like I think it was Prodigy was playing, not the band, but they were playing Fat of the Land, so it's Smack My Bitch Up, and there's strippers in there, and everybody's it's a good Mushroomhead 1998 party, and Jeff's standing there, and you can tell he's starting to sweat because he's feeling the girls. And he's wearing like a nice collared shirt, and standing next to me, he rips his sleeves off. It was probably the most metal thing I saw up to that point. I saw a lot of them. I was raised around bikers. I've seen metal shit. But Jeff Hatrix just rips his sleeves off and throws them on the ground like they were a fucking used condom.
Wow,
and I was like,
that.
yeah, and I remember standing there like, whoa, Jeffrey Nothing just did that. He's hit some home runs in that shit. Like, that was a huge one.
While you were doing that, I was looking at tits.
Yeah, you were looking at tits. Yeah. I'm still the one watching the room instead of what's going on.
Do we need do-overs on our childhood and be more like Tom the next time around? Is that a lesson to be learned from this?
I don't think so.
Nah,
I don't know.
We all kind of served a purpose. We all made it work better for the rest of us.
And if anybody can find any of our old demos of our original bands, which are probably only in our houses, our recording studio is always the Love Dungeon, which was his father's study in the basement. Laser discs. And, cigars, the best chairs ever. I mean, I think Tom Shaffner and I had a really good prom with women. Obviously, it wasn't me and Tom just in there, but we had some good times in that basement.
Yeah. Who's Justin?
Ooh. No. Justin Selinsky.
Justin.
I've been in the same house for 12 years now. I still refer to whatever room I decide my recording equipment is in that month as the Love Dungeon.
The Love Dungeon?
No.
I still use Beat Lab. Let's go in the Beat Lab, you know what I mean? And usually that also could just mean masturbation. Like, I'm just going to go in the laboratory and beat it off.
Right, masturbate a Labrador.
Masturbate a Labrador.
In the Beat It Lab.
So
usually one and the same.
That was a great Mushroomhead Jeff story and the old practice room. But Tom, Tom and I personally got to hear like about 4 or 5 songs with Jeff and Jason. I don't know if they're gonna keep Jeff on. I don't know what Skinny has planned or anybody has planned producing it. But I got to hear some really awesome songs that are like 80% done. And I know Tom's brought a lot to the table. So I just want to give you the opportunity to talk to the fans and say, hey, this is what's coming.
The first thing I did was turn in 4 or 5 pieces that I had written in the last probably about 5 years that I stopped. Where I was like, that sounds too much like Mushroomhead. I'm just going to stop. And as soon as I got the gig, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Too much something. It's too much something. What is it?
Too much.
It's nothing.
I polished those
too much, not enough. Too much.
Don't use too much onions.
Too much onions.
So first thing I did was turn those in, and with the band in mind, I probably wrote another 8 or 9 pieces. There's 20, 30 pieces laying around, and they're all really cool, and I'm really excited to see how it evolves and watch it turn into an album.
It's kind of at the mercy of how it gets chopped up now and how it comes together with all of us when we have the luxury of having the time to come together and all of us being in the same room and not having to go to sound check and you gotta, do this, do that.
Right.
You just have the normal day stuff where you can't really get down to being able to focus on working on music on the road. I mean, I know people do, I know people attempt to, and sometimes things get accomplished, but more often than not, there's so much that goes on in the day already to where it's like, I'm pumped to just get home and have everybody in the same headspace and really get cracking on it that way too. Because there's already a ton of great shit, and I think if we get together and really brainstorm about it, it'll get even better.
For sure.
Well, I don't doubt that it's going to be Faith No More as fuck.
I'll do my best.
Yeah,
to make sure it's
I would hope, like,
No,
I mean, because
yeah,
like
they're
all,
fine.
all of us grew up like, also like, I mean, we haven't really talked about, Sir J-Man, Mr. Jason Popson, but Jason's really been a big influence in all of our bands, and Jason, Jason and Skinny have
he's
both
been a singer in a bunch of my bands.
Yeah, he's been a singer. Like we're both Skinny and Jason were like these older brothers that would just they really helped like tune our ears into how to listen to music, all types of music, all different types of music.
It has always been the older brother thing, which is really cool, and it's funny. Like that was one of the big things I took away from the first Shroom show we did. I never realized how much I kind of copped from Jay, just like stage-wise and stuff. It's well, especially when you listen to a band where it's him singing, you find yourself doing some of these things. It's like, I probably shouldn't do that. We don't.
You and I both are super guilty of that.
Standing there right next.
Yeah,
to
it's like, oh shit, that's one of the. That's
it's Millie and Vanilli.
Right. It's like that's J move number 27. Can't use that one. I didn't even realize it. I didn't know what I was doing. Oh shit, can't do that.
I was about 27, 28 years old. I started watching videos of myself on stage and going, I gotta dial back a lot of the J-Man, because it's just your influence. You grow up on it and everything.
He's awesome at it. Why
Absolutely.
why wouldn't you do?
Yeah.
Well, he's been just such a fixture with so many things we've listened to over the years, to where it's like, man, it's just kind of subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff.
And like the difference he makes when he's excited about something. Like there's a certain like he can light up a room with his passion. When he's excited about a band, it couldn't. I mean, it not even be the band he's playing in. It could be a band that he just found that week. You know what I mean? And he just. And I still love that. Like I mean, Tom and all three of us have been servers and bartenders. But when you have a product that you believe in and you can look in someone's eyes and tell them, like, I can make your feelings and your emotions change by eating this food, drinking this drink, or listening to this band. And Popson was really good at that at an early age.
Well, Frank Sinatra, there's a great quote from him about it. It's like, it's about a singer, and it's about, how he would put himself in the songs. He said he was, I think he referred to himself as like an 18-karat manic depressive and was able to convey a wide array of emotions, but basically it boils down to like whether you're with a broad or whether you're on stage. He's like, if you're indifferent, no pun intended, people are going to take off. It's like you have to be heart and soul focused on that and into it and in the moment and really believe in what you're doing. Otherwise, why bother? And
he was also a dude that wasn't even part of the original Mushroomhead. It was they brought him in to fill in the records. If you listen to the first Mushroomhead record, I mean, he was. Wasn't it like
he was there? He was there from the first show. That's
I mean, he was definitely that original.
I mean, I know what you're saying.
I'm saying like when they were still a demo with band, like it was a project.
You hear 43, and they're kind of just developing their sound on the spot. I don't know if.
But there's a couple songs on that record where it's just him.
Right.
It was just Ego Trip and
maybe something else.
I think it's just Ego Trip.
Making that up. Definitely that.
No, definitely Ego Trip. But like the second record you saw. All that was super beautiful work because it was like they had
the second record. They all knew what their role was, and it kind of just balanced out and hit this magic moment.
And all three of us have been in multiple bands with multiple singers, like being in bands with two singers. And it's not about I think all of us have learned that it's not about a one frontman thing. It's like, what do you actually bring to the music? It's like you have two guitar players. Why is there two guitar players? What's the best part about using
Sure,
multiple
is everyone
singers?
fulfilling a musical obligation or whatever? I mean,
Yeah.
listen to Mastodon or something. There's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
3 guys singing, and it all makes
I think
sense.
Mastodon changed the way a lot of those bands approached it. Like you see a lot more bands, like Homewreckers, like that too. Like the band, like, if you like Cleveland hardcore, go listen to Homewrecker.
Oh yeah.
But like the drummer and the guitar player sing, and they don't even have a singer. And there's a few bands. A lot of that genre of hardcore now is like there isn't a frontman anymore.
Who
Like
can-
kind of like Nails or something.
Nails is another one,
right?
yeah.
Whoever can do the best job right now, I say go for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
Right.
hate to call it like gender roles or anything.
Right,
but,
yeah,
like,
it's kind of like that. It's like a musical gender role. It's like it's kind of fluid now, to where it's like
Right.
I identify as a drummer, but I got a hell of a voice. It's like
Right.
cool.
Yeah,
It's wide
yeah.
open.
if you can do it, do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, with that, we're going to say good night to everybody. I hope everybody's listening to this at the wee hours of the morning or just on your way to work. Or this is just a fun way to kind of disassociate to your shitty job. Just something to listen to.
Hey,
so,
I got a cool job.
Yeah. So there you have it. The first episode of the Wild at Heart podcast. And what a personal journey it was. The history between the three of us is so dense that our chemistry transcends all forms of entertainment. Now, the show that night was my first time seeing Tom and Steve perform at Mushroomhead, and it gave me a euphoric sense of pride only a brother could feel. Their unusual and entertaining talents mixed with the chemistry of Rick Thomas, Farrell, Robbie, Skinny, Jackie, and J-Man produced a show that was as musically diverse as it was fun. If I wasn't caught gyrating my sleazy hips to the music, I was lost in the laughter of Jackie and Skinny, or paralyzed in awe of the funk-infused performance of a vintage J-Man. If you get the opportunity to experience Mushroomhead in 2018, please do it. The current cast of this theatric musical production is performing what I feel is a set that is not only nostalgic but magical. The plan is for Steve to co-host as many of these episodes as possible, considering his schedule and the distance between us. But I can guarantee you that both Tom and Steve will continue to be repeat offenders on the Wild at Heart podcast. So please subscribe to our SoundCloud at www.soundcloud.com/Wild at Heart podcast or on iTunes. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube for a more in-depth analysis of everything we spoke about in this episode. Finally, I leave you with what I feel is my favorite song that Steve has ever written or sang on. I hope for this song gives all the fans a good idea of what Steve's talents can bring to the table. This is a song by the band Garmin Bozia off their full-length album titled Feature Presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Garmin Bozia's Helicline.
So far